So today I would be speaking to the audience on choosing knowledge management as a career option for the next generation of associates or students who would be taking up who would be hitting the corporate world shortly. So we would be covering the following agenda: the education system in early 1990s and how it has, ever since 1996, 1997 onwards, how the entire dimension has changed, and the surge of IT era in late 1990s. That was sometime during 99 and 2000 when Y2K problem kicked in, and entire India had a huge boom and a huge opportunity of getting into IT industry. Prior to that, there was there was IT was there, but in little pockets, somewhere in Pune, somewhere in Bangalore, and very little presence in Hyderabad. So that's how it went, and ever since it was in 1998, there was a this Y2K problem was surfaced, and there was a lot of new consulting organizations that have came up, and at the same time, the IT training institutes have also come up during that time. And next, we are going to cover about the evolution of knowledge management and prominence of knowledge management. Later, transition of academics. Prior to 2000, year 2000, and early 1990s, it was more about people going back to the same, old school of thought. Like my father was an engineer, and probably I would end up being an engineer. My mother is a doctor, I would end up as a doctor, or as a chartered accountant. There were very few trades, in fact. So some was more into this engineering field who were practicing the trade to which they belong, like mechanical engineering and civil engineering. Similarly, the other engineering fields, they were more prominent during that time, and later how it has changed from there on. So that also we'll discuss. And the knowledge management as career, because if you see, most of the things first it has started in industry, and later such things have been converted into an academic course, and it's been offered to in some colleges and elite colleges and elite B schools, saying that this is a way of new era where the education system would be changing. Right. So education system in early 1990s. I hope if somebody who's in their mid 40s, or who have crossed 35, they must be aware that there, in 1990s and during that time, how it all changed. In those years, in the yesteryears, it was all people were more interested in taking up the engineering course, medicine, and commerce, chartered accountancy, and in engineering also they used to practice all the traditional trades, like chemical engineering was a good boom that at that time. Similarly, the mechanical engineering, and that was the take during that time. And primary reason for people doing that was also due to lack of exposure. If you see, the internet has come very, sometime during 98, 99 onwards. 96, I guess. 96 was in 1996. Also, internet was there, but it was a 64 kbps line on which we used to visit Yahoo, mailed, Yahoo Mail, and used to, converse with my friends and our friends, and we used to send mail today, and the person would respond only during weekends. So that was the lag, and it's also due to lack of exposure. Not everybody had internet at their home, and it was very few places where internet was available, and the exposure to internet was also very limited. Unless you know some internet technologies or how to handle a browser, probably you wouldn't know how to visit a site as well. So that's when, due to lack of awareness, people used to take up the traditional courses, and it was also like, somebody, a friend was doing it, so I will also pick it up. So it went on like that. Those years were good, and there was no threat to people who were practicing or who were taking up those courses, because it was a regular field, and everybody had an opportunity to explore their interests, and get into the desired stream of education. Of late, during this 98 and 99, there was this Y2K problem. And if you have seen, if somebody is aware of, during that time, 1998, 1999, and year 2000, it was a boom in entire India. If you name a place, they had one computer institute. If some people are aware, there was AppTech, and there was NIIT, which was offering mainframe courses to the associates. And COBOL was the backbone of these mainframes. So COBOL was being taught, and overnight people were being shipped to USA, and people were getting H1B visas, and all sorts of things happened during that time, and a good number of people have migrated to USA with Y2K boom. So that was some history that I wanted to share. So during that time, it happened like that. And ever since this year 2000 has come, and this Y2K problem got bailed over, then people have started coming in, and there was a new boom, like it was a .com boom. And after Y2K, it was .com boom, and so .com boom also, it went on to some extent in 2003, 2004. And this .com bubble, it also busted sometime in 2004 and 2005, I guess. So which again died off, and then it came the age of ERP, which started picking up from sometime in 2002 or 2003, but it picked up in 2006 and 2007 so well that India had a lot of ERP consulting companies coming up. So the shift of this education system has been evolving over time and time. And and there was something like the one of the reasons may also be due to the limited exposure about key support processes and areas in the organization, and any organization across the globe. These processes were also been should have been explored further, but somehow those things haven't come out well. So selection of a career stream was more like a pre-programmed chip in our DNA, which was more or less opted to the above-mentioned streams like engineering, medicine, and commerce, arts, and chartered accountancy. So that it so happened that the education system during 1990s was like that, and the surge of IT has come in, and this is what I was talking about in late 90s, that a Y2K problem was we could resolve Y2K problem, and with the upsurge of IT in late 90s, education systems swiftly tilted towards the IT side. So this the Y2K issue has brought in a lot of opportunities in IT industry. So more of the students started taking up the IT courses, and which is more human resources centric, and IT is all about intellectual work, and this intellectual work over time it became mundane, and there were some processes that have started being automated, and these things have been passed on to the first level of engineers with a set of KEDBs. KEDB is this known error databases. So people used to look at those known error databases, and solve or resolve the issues that their customers are facing. That's how it happened. And if you see till now, even now, the BPO industry is more dependent on this KEDBs, that is known error databases, which those level 1 engineers often refer and try to solve the problems of their customers in the first call itself. This is called first time right. So such kind of things happened, in late 90s, and entire the decade of from 2000 to 2010, it was all like that. And this is the period when the information management and reuse got into prominence because of this mundane work and repetitive tasks were there. So this the reuse concept has kicked in. So these KEDBs are nothing but the reuse of the intellectual knowledge that has been earlier stored by somebody. Okay. Next, the data or the information which was stored was very unstructured. So this before this KEDB could come in, all the data was data was there everywhere. So this data has been channelized, and it was made more structured and into the meaningful form, and it is called information. And this info that is reusable is knowledge management. And and the result, this resulted in coining of knowledge management in 1991, which involved structuring of data using taxonomy and metadata. If you remember this taxonomy and metadata, taxonomy is something, if you have ever visited to any library, it is the librarian who stores the books in an orderly way. Like if you can go and ask a librarian about an anthropology book, probably he'll guide you to the rack number so and so, and aisle number so and so. You go to that rack, you will find the anthropology related document books there. Similarly, if somebody asks him for a medicine related document, books, probably he'll guide them to that site. So there was this is the librarian is the guy who used to maintain the taxonomy. The structure of the documents he used to maintain, the structure of the books he used to maintain, and segregate the books in such a way that anybody could be able to go and easily find the books from the library. So similarly, the same thing got evolved, and even we as knowledge management experts or knowledge management consultants, what we do is we also ask our business, our the industry and our business units and departments to maintain their knowledge in a structured way with proper taxonomy, so that the documents are easily available to the person who is working under him, or it could be a person, or it could be some other department who is looking for some information with regard to the some HR policies. So it is something like the segregation of documents in proper buckets. Bucketing of information is called taxonomy, and metadata is data about data. So this metadata it's going to be tell something more about that data. So if some document is there, if I give it to some of my colleague, then probably he might say, where would I use it? How would I use it? What should I do with this document? Why did you ever give me this document? So he would have all such questions to me. So before even he could ask such questions to me, with my intelligence and with my know-how of that document, what I have given him, if I am going to answer all these questions, like where this document is useful, I can say that it will be useful in consulting, and how I should use this document. Then I will say you should use this as a base document. You can build on it. So something like that. The data about data is called metadata. So we at TechM we capture some 17 fields for each document that get uploaded onto our knowledge management portals. So which is all nothing but metadata. So which will help associates who are who always hooked on to their systems to do a search and bring out the document. How do we do a Google search? Google, everybody does Google, right? So Google, it does capture a lot of fields from the documents that get uploaded onto their site. So all these documents have a lot of fields which Google captures, and you put any fancy word, any word that you wish to seek documents, Google will throw at least 100,000 documents on you, right? So it is for that reason this metadata is very much important. Fine. So this is about taxonomy and metadata that we usually follow in each of our departments. I'm going to the next slide. The evolution of knowledge management. If you say this knowledge management is not a new concept, at least for the most of the world. See, so we get knowledge from our parents, right? So mother teaches her kids how to cook, how to make their own breakfast. So this is also called knowledge transfer. Knowledge management and knowledge has been inherited from mother to children, from father to children, and similarly, if you take in a bigger parlance, it is the guru which gives the knowledge to his students. So if you've seen in all our Vedic temples, it is an inherent concept right from the Vedic times. If you see this Ramayana, Mahabharata, all these inscribes, it has been inscribed on the leaves, right? They call it copper leaves, the Talapatra Granthas, what they call. They have used those leaves to document all their knowledge. And similarly, the temples and cave walls, they have also been used, to inscribe, and they were trying to convey some kind of knowledge that has been passed on from eras to us. So maybe that's sometime some 1,000 over years ago, or some 4,000, 5,000 years ago, somebody has inscribed all these things on the walls and the leaves. So that's how this has the knowledge has been evolving. So knowledge management is there since then. Okay, in ancient times it was primarily the tacit knowledge. It is the tacit knowledge which was transformed in the way of teachings primarily from guru to its disciples. If you see most of the if you have seen this the television serials, they show all these mythological serials where you see the guru is giving some kind of knowledge he is passing on to his disciples or at the gurukulas. So the very few explicit knowledge management components like Mahabharata and Ramayana came up late at the later stage, which was documented, and those documents have been converted from those copper leaves onto the paper related documents now. Before the reusability component was included into the scope of knowledge management, and the knowledge management was also known as library sciences, information management, and library management services. So this reuse of knowledge has been picking up ever since. And ever there is a great loss that has been done to Indian Ayurvedic practices, because the knowledge at that time, this Ayurvedic doctors did not share it to their subordinates. That's how India has lost a wealth of Ayurvedic knowledge, and has gone down the drain. So now that they have realized, now if you see Ramdev Baba or anybody, they have started giving a lot of lectures on TV talk shows, and they are documenting everything in the form of soft copies so that it can be passed on to the next generations. So this is nothing but the knowledge that is getting on one side the knowledge is getting generated, and the other side the knowledge is being documented, and the next it is being shared to the rest of the world. So this is how the knowledge transition is the evolution of knowledge has happened, and the knowledge transition is also happening. If you see knowledge management, there are two types of knowledge that get generated. One is explicit knowledge, and the other one is tacit knowledge. The explicit knowledge is something that is documented, that are in the form of documents, your books and all your hard copy documents. They are all a part of explicit knowledge. Whereas this tacit knowledge is something that is hidden in human brain, and unless somebody taps, that doesn't come out. If you ask somebody, most of us know most of the things, but it would only come out when somebody asks for it. Okay, so if you ask somebody like how do I make some recipe, so everybody knows that how to cook food, or how to do something, so how to cook some biryani. But unless somebody asks them, do you know how to cook biryani, then will be 1,000 people who will stand up and say, I would watch for it, I am the best cook in the world. That's how people stand up and say, yes, I know how to cook biryani, I know, I can help you, I can help you. So that's how this tacit knowledge has to be tapped. And information or knowledge that one would have extremely difficult operational setting out in tangible form. But this has to be tapped. This has to be tapped and brought out. So we at Tech Mahindra, what we do is we tap the knowledge in the form of talk shows that we organize with delivery leaders and the program managers, project managers on their niche skills and the programs that they are handling, which will pass on, and the information, or this knowledge sessions, we again pass it on to the next level of associates, so that they get excited by hearing from a leader who has single-handedly done so many great things. So that's how we disseminate knowledge within our organization, and the evolution of knowledge management has happened in that way. I'm moving to the next slide. See, in the prominence, the evolution and prominence of knowledge management in early 1980s, the data started getting stored. If you remember, the sometime back, sometime almost 2 decades back, the information was used to be stored in the form of this floppy disk, and from floppy disks it has come on to CDs, and from CDs DVDs, and from DVDs now it is all pen drives, now it is from shared drives, now it is from pen drives, now it is to SkyDrives. So from the SkyDrive is again a cloud where the information is stored. So this is how the evolution and prominence of knowledge has happened. The documented knowledge has been converted from floppy to disk, from CDs to DVDs to the pen drives, from pen drives to next stage it would be cloud. This transformation of storing data in a digital form made it viable to store enormous data in small disks. So this is how the information used to get stored. So as a result, this information flow has increased to terabytes of information, and which requires more efficient management of the information. So there was knowledge everywhere, and there was gigabytes and terabytes of information lying everywhere across us, and that was an information overload that has happened, and from there we have moved from information overload to knowledge management. So that's when this methodical structuring of data started facilitated, and that's when people started thinking, no, now that we have enough of knowledge, then we should start reusing the existing one. To reuse the existing one, data should be in the form of an understandable way. It should be an understandable information, and which can be reused. So all these things started coming up into the minds. Okay. So the information which has been stored for decades and onto these disks and everywhere. So the people have taken time to start and channelize all that information into meaningful data, and this meaningful information has been converted, and each of this information again has been made available so that people can reuse that information, and they can save their time. So saving their time is something like, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. So wheel has already been invented by our great grandfather, so we don't have to take pain in reinventing it again. So we can use that wheel and do wonders in some other areas. So so the innovation has to happen, and at the same time that has to be documented, and that has to be passed on to the next generations, so that there can be reused, and people can be benefited out of it. If you see, this resulted in methodical structuring of data, which facilitated easy reuse and avoided reinvention. That's what I was talking about, reinvention and duplication of efforts. This brought knowledge management into prominence. That's when then this knowledge management has become a key area, and people started to realize, yes, sometime back it was a good to have a thing. Knowledge management was something like, it was there. It would be good if we have a knowledge management. That was during yesteryears. Now it has changed. Now people say that without knowledge management we can't survive. So we have reached a stage from where it was an option sometime, now it has become a compulsion now. So people are saying now or never kind of a thing. So people have started documenting their knowledge, their intellect, their know-how in the form of documents, and they have started giving webinars, webcasts, and putting the information on internet for the use of others. That has also become a prominent thing. Knowledge management emerged as a scientific discipline in early 1990s, and it soared to greater heights when organizations started realizing the importance of intellectual capital in the organization. So if you see, there are a lot of movement happens in in industries, not only IT industry. There are so many other areas of work which has a lot of people movement. So people when move out, the knowledge that they carry or they have acquired during their stint with the organization, that also get lost with him. No matter we put so many plans around it, that things get fizzled out. So that's when this knowledge management plays a key role, saying that excuse me, that's when this knowledge management plays a key role, saying that how we can store the knowledge. First thing is we can acquire the knowledge, organize the knowledge, and then sustain the knowledge, apply the knowledge, reuse the knowledge, and get benefited out of it. This is one of the knowledge management definitions that we have picked up from internet, which says knowledge management is managing the corporation's knowledge through a systematically and organizationally specified process for acquiring certain the know-how, organizing the know-how, sustaining, applying that, and where all it can be applied, that we have to do, and sharing and renewing both the tacit and explicit knowledge of employees. In certain areas, there are certain things can be standard SOPs, standard operating procedures are there, whereas in some cases these SOPs have evolved over time. So those old documents which have attained their the maturity, and which have aged and which have never visited, all such documents can be retired from the system, or it can be done in such a way that the people who has documented that knowledge, that standard operating procedure, the owner of those documents can still revisit the document and again increase the SOP numbers. Suppose if in one case the SOPs were 15-step SOP was there, but the same person after a year or two, he might have identified another 4 more steps, which will even streamline and even be a cakewalk for the newcomers. So probably he can add those 4 more steps into the existing documents, and again release it to the associates or to the people, so that it can be people can pick up the latest knowledge and benefit out of it. So this is how the knowledge management, sometime when in few years, it was just good to have thing, hoga to acha rahega kind of a thing. So it has moved from there. So and now it has become need of the hour and must of the hour. Knowledge management is a must now. Every organization, if you take any big organization, any MNC, any all top Indian MNCs have knowledge management as a practice. There are even this is done not only in IT industry. The same knowledge management is done in insurance sector. The same is done in banking sector. The same is done in various other sectors like manufacturing, and you name a sector, knowledge management is important. This can also say that knowledge, why knowledge management is important is, I can give you another example. Like there could be something that has been developed and people have failed in an attempt. If that attempt, that failure attempt is also documented and that is being released to public at large, what happens is whenever somebody tries to attempt the same thing, then they will see there is some knowledge that has already been documented. Like if you follow so and so steps, then we might end up in a failure. So if those things are coming out, and if people know it upfront, then people would never attempt it and get failed. Okay, so that way, what we can do is people can use these documents to be first time right and first attempt in learning also. So they will learn, they will make their learning as first attempt in learning itself, right? So this is how the knowledge management has started picking up, and it has gained so much of prominence that we hear with a lot of customers across the world. They come to us with their own pain areas, like we have aging staff of aging staff. How do we document, because they all are going to retire in next few months? So we have done so many projects for them in different areas. So that was just an additional point for you. Probably we'll go to the next slide. So there's this transition of academics, you know. So this knowledge management becoming one of the key strategic initiatives. If you see now, knowledge management is a strategic initiative in most of the organizations. It can be any pharma organization, or pharma is more dependent on knowledge management because they need to know all their failure cases before they could attempt any new things. So this is it has become a strategic initiative in all major organizations. The CKOs, we call the CKO is the Chief Knowledge Officers, gradually started showing interest in practical and theoretical aspects of KM, and a new research team has evolved. This is when the KM idea was taken up by academicians. So this is how, as it has been a practicing part in the industry, so this has been a transition, and uh, uh, we have partnered with other companies to come up with this as knowledge management as one of the academic subjects. So this is one of the electives in Symbiosis MBA school. So this is when the knowledge management idea was taken up by academicians, and soon they realized that the legacy education system was not sufficiently equipped to tackle the growing industry needs. So it is the demand and supply again. There is a huge demand for knowledge management experts, and their supply is very low. And if you see, some time back, there is still a huge demand for doctors, so that people can go to that side. And there is, the demand and supply kind of a thing. So this has become the demand and need of the hour, and we need more and more knowledge management experts, knowledge management MBAs to manage the knowledge of the industries. Various industries, is not only the IT industry, there are so many other industries. It could be FMCG industries, it could be pharma, it could be insurance, banking. Manufacturing is another big area where KM is actively being pursued and highly used. And in the legal, in terms of legal also, the practicing lawyers, there also this knowledge management is required, because in olden years, maybe some cases they have to file, they have fought, and some legal opinion is required, or in such and such case, what was the judgment that has come out. So the legal officers can also be there. The KM can also be there in this legal department, where they can do a lot of reference and come out with solutions. Fine. This is not the first time when industry felt the requirement of imbibing a new dimension to the existing model. So if you see, this is the why we said this is, if you have seen some time back, there was this Six Sigma, which was practiced by this Motorola some time back, and ever since they have started practicing it. Now that Six Sigma has become an academic course in most of the MBA B schools. So probably, that's how that has come into the curriculum. The Six Sigma methodology is there in so in most of the MBA and top B schools. As the practice of knowledge management involves various methodologies, which are usually industry specific, industry experts felt the need of inducting knowledge management into the academic system. So we are an active participant, and uh, the active chapter members from Hyderabad CII, and we often visit so many knowledge management workshops across India, and we get to meet people from all walks of life. They come from people come from pharma background. They come from different backgrounds, and they were also suggesting that we should have knowledge management as one of the courses or one of the electives, or in a B school. So that's how we have summed up here, and we came up with the knowledge management as an elective in Symbiosis B School, and that's active now. They des- okay, they desire to induct certified knowledge managers into the system who would be able to add value from day one onwards. If you see why the industry is looking for certified knowledge managers, is to uh, is to something like it is by, there are two way of learning things. It is you learn in your academics and do it from day one, or learn by your experience. Learn by your experience, there is a lot of learning curve. Maybe it would take 4 or 5 years for somebody to imbibe knowledge management skills and become a knowledge manager. So we have to put a question to ourselves: do we really have such time? 4 or 5 years of corporate industry is is a very long time. There are so many paradigm shifts that happen in industries. So 4 or 5 years is a very huge time, and we want people to be industry ready. All the new people who are joining industry, maybe whatever may be the industry, it could be IT, pharma, or manufacturing, whatever may be the field they choose to join. The knowledge managers are required from day one, so that they can be there, be with the system from day one, and organize things in such a way that they everything is seamless for the next people, whoever is trying to access the knowledge and benefiting out of it. I'm moving to the next slide. If you see this KM as a career opportunity, so most of the world-renowned institutes have started offering this knowledge management degrees, and there are not many certifications or full-time KM degrees in India until last few years. However, with a vision to make India a knowledge superpower by 2020, it is the vision of CII to make India a knowledge superpower by year 2020. We have has taken a significant step forward and worked with the industry experts like we have engaged with Deloitte and Infosys, SAP, and a few other organizations like Greenco, and we have implemented the KM curriculum in Symbiosis Institute. That's what we are, is written here. That's what we have worked for in the past 1.5 years. Okay, next is what does this signify for Generation Y? Okay, so the new generation of associates. Now that some time back, if you have seen, there were all traditional MBAs were there, traditional MBAs, traditional engineering courses, and so this traditional MBAs like MBA marketing, MBA finance, and MBA HR were there some time back. And now, if you see, there are so many new MBAs that have come up, which says MBA in hospitality management, MBA in hospital management, MBA in insurance, MBA in banking, and and MBA in risk management also. So when such kind of industry ready courses are being offered by our top B schools in India and abroad, we should be leveraging those courses and get into the right stream of work. Probably this will also help in gaining expertise from day one. Instead of learning things by experience, you can have some expertise at the academic level itself and join the industry whichever you choose, and you can forge ahead and be a top guy in your area of work. And so this provides an excellent opportunity for the youngsters to be in the industry ready and get into one of the most booming strategic initiatives in the industry. So as I told you, knowledge management is a strategic initiative for most of the companies across the board, across the industry, across the vertical. There is a scope of knowledge manager. Knowledge managers are required everywhere. So guys, get up, get into any knowledge management courses that have been are available, and get yourself certified. And if you see, there are some knowledge management courses that would help to get into the KM roles. They are this certified knowledge manager, certified knowledge specialist, and certified knowledge practitioner. Okay, so all these courses are offered by some USA institute in USA, which is called kmiinstitute.org. You can visit that, and it's in Virginia, USA. So these courses are offered by them. Probably they'll have in-depth, courses. So if at all somebody is planning to go abroad and get themselves trained, that's fine. But if you are here in India, so this current course of knowledge management is a part of a symbiosis curriculum. So we are also trying to get the same thing in Geetham University in Hyderabad and Vizag. So probably we'll down the years we'll start and have this as one of the elective courses in other top B schools. So here ends my presentation. So I'm open for any questions.